Disgust from the movie Inside Out of Pixar shows us something very harmful about society, which is corn addiction, sexualization, and how it is reaching younger generations. I know, this sounds like something a Karen who thinks video games are satanic would say, but let me explain. This is not woke propaganda, I swear. I'm sure that if you use the internet, you have seen the fan art that was made of her, memes and comments made of the feeling of disgust from the new movie Pixar Inside Out 2. You could think that this is nothing too bad because every time something is new, it becomes trendy for a little bit. But here's where I show you something very interesting. Pay attention. Look at this graph from Google Trends. Here you can clearly see how when Inside Out 1 went out, the searches for disgust went pretty up. And I mean, it is obvious that when you release a movie, video game, series, the characters from it will be searched more. But now look at how the graphic looks for the time of the release of the second movie. We can clearly see how now the term is more searched. And I can tell you that those numbers are not because the character has suddenly become the favorite of the people. Well, kind of, but not necessarily for the movie. Now, here's where everything connects. When Inside Out was released in 2015, the marketing aimed at kids in a range of 6 to 9 years old. But let's be honest, you could go with your older brother, 12 years old. So, let's put the age range between 6 to 12 years old, which was my age when I saw the movie. Now, 9 years later in 2024, those kids who saw the first movie should be between the range of 15 to 21, which according to Statista, we can say that this range of ages represent approximately 20% of internet users. Can you see where this is going? We know the reason why disgust is searched more, which is basically her sexualization. Now, this shows us two scenarios. The first one being that younger people tend more to this kind of action, which is sexualizing, and find themselves sexually attracted to more things. Or the second scenario, which I am more inclined to this option, which is that society tends to find something sexual on everything, and how they have developed a corn addiction. I am aware of Rule 34 of the internet, which is basically that if something exists in real life or is made up, there will be a P company depiction of it. This includes cartoons, celebrities, and objects. And in some cases, these depictions go well beyond the usual themes found in mainstream P company. But come on, I can understand that you have a crush on a cartoon character, like, for example, Jessica Rabbit, which is made to attract a male audience. Or one crush of myself, which is Elastigirl, but disgust. Really? I mean, she looks like a fucking vegetable with lipstick and a dress. But I am not that surprised since there is also some rule about vegetables and almost everything that you could think of. This is not the first time something like this happened. A similar case that demonstrates more about this is Lola Bunny. Do you remember what happened when Space Jam 2 launched their first trailer? You could expect that people would compare LeBron James with Michael Jordan acting skills, who is the GOAT, style of animation, story, or something like that. And all of them were debated. But the one that had more attention was the design of Lola Bunny, because people said that was not as hot as in the first movie. It is a kid's movie, made for kids to watch, not for you to satisfy or see an animal with the shape of a human that you found hot. The trend of sexualizing animated characters can be seen as a reflection of our society's growing obsession with corn. The normalization of corn consumption has escalated over the past few decades, driven in part by the proliferation of internet access and the availability of explicit content. What was once considered taboo has become more accepted, and this shift has had profound implications on how people perceive and interact with media, including children's film. I'm not saying that you can't find something attractive or not, but you have to understand that it is concerning the path that society is taking and how we are normalizing things or behaviors that should not be considered normal, because it can lead to such things like corn addiction, which is the next theme that I would like to talk about. I think I have demonstrated that disgust has been searching for nefarious reasons. And I have talked about the possible involvement of corn addiction in this society and how it has become more natural compared to 9 years ago. But what consequence can this have on a long period of time? First of all, what is corn addiction? It is a behavior characterized by an inability to control the consumption of corn despite negative consequences. It involves excessive viewing of corn material to the point where it interferes with daily life, relationships, and overall well-being. With that in mind, let's see what this can do to a person. The consequences that this behavior has are so many, but we're going to encompass them in 4 aspects: neurological, psychological, physical, and relationships. Neurological consequences. Regular consumption of corn can lead to significant changes in the brain's structure and function, similar to those observed in substance addiction. This phenomenon is primarily due to the brain's reward system being overstimulated. When a person views corn, the brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. Over time, the brain becomes desensitized to normal levels of dopamine, requiring more extreme content to achieve the same level of arousal. Basically, you are fucking your brain more than it probably is from a small dose of dopamine that we receive in this modern society. Psychological consequences. Psychologically, corn addiction can lead to a host of issues. including anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. The constant comparison to the unrealistic portrayals of sex and relationships in porn can leave individuals feeling inadequate and dissatisfied with their own lives and relationships. This internal conflict can exacerbate feelings of depression and anxiety, creating a vicious cycle of addiction and emotional distress. Physical consequences. Physically, porn addiction can manifest in sexual dysfunctions, such as erectile dysfunction and delayed ejaculation. The desensitization effect of excessive pornography consumption means that individuals may struggle to achieve arousal or orgasm with a real-life partner. Relationship consequences. The impact of porn addiction on relationships can be devastating. It can erode trust, intimacy, and satisfaction within a relationship. Partners of individuals with porn addiction often feel neglected, inadequate, and betrayed, leading to significant relationship strain. This is without forgetting one important thing, which is the objectifying and dehumanizing of people. This affects mostly women, making them fall into stereotypes and contribute to a culture that views individuals as mere objects for sexual gratification. This is not woke culture, people. This is a reality that we are living into and is harming society. You can say that I am exaggerating all this just because of some comments and posts from people about disgust. But one of the most important lessons that I have learned in life is that we have to see far beyond to be able to see the real truth. I am not blaming Pixar, not at all. I also do not feel that it is okay to blame the people, even though they are the one consuming this content. I think you could blame the internet or society for facilitating this kind of content, but you can't blame them entirely because they are made of the people. Kind of hard to know whose fault is this, but it's not something where we have to find guilty or innocent, black or white, just a solution. In conclusion, what I tried to say is that I honestly do not care if you like Disgust, Lola Bunny, or even Aunt Fanny. What I am trying to say is that we should see way further about what trends tell us about society and how it functions. In order to be able to know where we are and where we are going, of course you can laugh about the memes. And found this situation funny. I mean, it's okay to have a sense of humor. I found this kind of funny, and is the reason of why I made this video. But be aware of what this means. It is the normalization of these acts that should be observed with more caution, because today is disgust, the one that has been seen this way. But what if tomorrow is a real person? Like, could be you, your mom, or a little sibling. I know it can be hard to see the connection here, but it is part of a process of dehumanization, and we all know how the world is full of crazy people. And the worst part is that we cannot know exactly how they are and what intentions may they have. I'm not saying that if you like disgust, you are one or would become one. I'm just saying that it's part of a tendency of normalization that this society has. That is not okay to be normalized. If you enjoyed watching, please consider subscribing and watching the other videos. Tell me what would you like me to talk about, and see you on the next video.